As the life story and work of famed African artist Fela Kuti continues to be celebrated across the world, his story is set to be retold from a uniquely African perspective in a book written by Carlos Moore and published by African Perspectives. Publisher Rose Francis joins us this evening to help us fully understand and appreciate the importance of telling the African stories, and specifically told from a truly African perspective. But this time around, this is the story of Fela Kuti that is our focus. And Rose, pleasure to catch up with you after so many donkey's years.
Indeed.
Now I hear stories about you. They say Rose was here, Rose is there, and the most important, Rose is now a publisher. I say, really? They say, hey, well, you don't know things.
It's 10 years now.
10 years now. And how many books have you published?
Well, we got about 24.
24. It's a lot of work. 24 is a lot. You know, it's a small publishing company. It's not a big Penguin Books or Macmillan type publishing house, right? The whole thing of editors and commissioning stuff and editing and all of that, and chaperoning the authors along the way. What type of books over the 10 years?
Well, the last book that I've published was The Che Guevara Reader, which is the writings of Ernesto Che Guevara. Before that, I had the Poet Laureate of Ghana, Atukwe Okai. He put a collection of poetry called Mandela the Spear and Other Poems, which is a collection of poems also to Nadine Gordimer and Mandela, and a very Pan-Africanist collection of poetry. Before that, certainly a young woman from Zimbabwe, Tendai Machingatsi, a beautiful work of fiction called Acacia. Very much in the, certainly in West Africa, fiction is very big.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and romance fiction particularly, and this is a work of romance fiction.
Well, we want to talk about Fela Kuti. I just wanted to check what African Perspective does, and you have a preference for particular works, and are these all of them originals that you are publishing?
Well, the Che Guevara Reader, together with Fela, the Fela autobiography, is I obtained the rights for it. So you purchase the rights.
Yes.
It's not something initiated by African Perspectives.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
And I'm saying this because somewhere I suspect you commission work, or you don't necessarily. The authors come to you with the finished product.
The authors, yes, generally
they come with the finished work.
Well, it's not finished per se, because it has to be edited, sometimes rewritten.
Yeah.
And the editing process can be very lengthy sometimes.
Yeah.
This particular, even though I didn't commission this book on Fela, it's a 2-year process from the time I started negotiating until now.
Yes.
So it's a lengthy process, yes.
But Fela is a big person anyway, Fela Kuti. And the title of the book, let's take a look there. This is it, Fela, this bitch of a life. Is this his own title, or this comes from the publishers?
That came from Carlos Moore, the author.
Yeah. And was it his summary of what Fela was about, or what he thought of his life?
I think it's a summary of the way Fela speaks,
Okay.
Yeah.
And the book itself, I mean, I'm familiar with Fela's music. Now, I'm not sure, because I haven't read the book, but I've heard from people who've read it, and I checked the blurbs here, people I know, Shadu Twala and Rams Mabote, Hugh Masekela, Nikki B, they all have gone through it, and they've got what is it about Fela in the book that we're going to find fascinating?
The wonderful thing about this book, Tim, is that it's written in the first person.
Yes.
So you as a reader, you feel like you're in the room, eavesdropping on the conversation. And that is a wonderful thing. It's the perspective in which you gain insight into his life.
Yes.
That is exciting for me. If so, you really don't have to be an avid reader to enjoy this book.
So it's very entertaining.
It's entertaining. Yeah. Look, where my storeroom is, downtown in Johannesburg, there was people moving out when we were actually handling the distribution. And one of the guys came by and he said to me, "This is Fela." I said, "The Fela you know." So he bought a copy, And I took his number. 4 days later, I called him. I said, hey, what do you think of the book? He says,
Yes.
Rose, I'm now playing the music.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
everything in my life now is about Fela.
Yes.
You know, and that's the thing.
And I suppose, Fela is a big character, right? And like I've just said it, I'm speaking about him in the present tense as if he's still alive and he's not here anymore. But that's the kind of presence he has in people's lives.
Very much so. Well, he himself said, 500 years, me no die.
And he's also suggesting, I read somewhere in the book, much as I haven't read the book, but paging through it, where he says he was born twice. One of the outrageous things that Fela would imagine and say.
Yes, because of the name. His middle name was Ransom. And then he forgot about that name.
Yes.
He dropped the name.
Yes.
With his mother's, assistance, she agreed, and she also dropped the name. But the brother kept the name Ransom, and the brother ended up being Minister of Health in Nigeria.
Yes.
But he was a great Pan-Africanist, and he was very anti-imperialism, him and his mother. So, that was where that name change came from. So that's what he means when he said he was born twice.
And the book itself was published in the early years of 2003 or prior to that? I'm not sure of the actual...
It's been around for quite some time. In fact, a woman called Margaret Busby, who does the introduction there,
Yes.
she published it, and she is a black woman in the UK. She's also had a publishing company.
Yes.
She's now retired. But it's wonderful that she published this book first in the UK as a black publisher, female, and here I'm bringing it into South Africa.
The point about my question, precisely what you've just said, is to you, what is it, much as Fela is a big towering figure and is of interest to so many people, that made you invest time, resources to have the book republished?
I am interested, Tim, in having African Perspectives Publishing represent a broad section of the African story. If you look at my publishing house,
Yes.
the titles, I've got the story of the Sophia Town Force removals, as written by Don Matera against the backdrop of his own life.
Yes. Okay.
I have Sol Rochilo's collection of 1976, the uprising.
Yeah.
So I would really like to have, African stories, broader.
Yeah.
So because I'm now working in kind of Anglophone Africa, I have to be much more broader in my perspective and not only look at South African stories per se.
Now tell me, the book is being launched soon. When is it?
On Thursday night.
On Thursday night.
Correct, yes.
Okay, and where is this happening?
At Nikki's in Newtown.
In Joburg.
In Johannesburg.
All right. If you want to go and check Fela's book, it's going to be launched. It's been around, but it's been relaunched now. And I know there are so many Fela Kuti songs, I mean music rather. And every time I think about Fela, different tracks, but there's one that stands out for me.
Which one?
And I always talk about it. Beasts of No Nation.
Oh, Beast of No Nation. You know which one is my favorite?
Yeah?
Lady.
Oh, okay. She go say.
Yeah.
She go say.
I never tell you finish.
I never tell you finish. I never tell you finish. Rose Francis, everything of the best, and thanks again for investing this labor of love in your work and making sure that we get as broad a variety of African perspectives as we can.
Thank you so much, Tim. Thank you.
Fela Kuti's launch is on Thursday at Nikki's in Newtown, Johannesburg. So make sure that you go there and grab yourself a copy of this book of Fela Kuti. Well, he's got many fans. I'm sure definitely they will be going down to Nikki's to pick up a copy. There's competition though on Thursday from my side. I'm also inviting our viewers to a roundtable discussion on the economy and the opportunities that we can create for the youth. So this is happening at Gibbs. But maybe if you find time, as soon as you've sold out everything that you've got, you can hop down to Sandton, to Gibbs.
I have a better idea.
Yes.
Why don't when you finish talking about the economy, come over and have a good time at Nikki's?
Okay, yeah, well, that's a plan. That's a plan, because we're starting a bit earlier at 6 o'clock in the evening at Gibbs in Sandton. Please come around and hear the Statistician General speak about the economy and some economists and, of course, young people sharing ideas on what we can do to take South Africa forward and get it to work. We hope you enjoyed this evening's program, and from us, Have a great evening, and until next time, good night to you.